Okay. Check. And we are live. Okay, everybody, this is the first inning radio show live on television radio. And I am the BX Bomber 2011. And I am with Roger, the big Yankee fan. Say hello, Roger.
Hey, BX Bomber. Hello. How are you doing? Happy Saturday afternoon. Everything is going pretty good. And I figured that we would do a podcast about one of the Yankee classics and legends, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, man. He was actually, man, you know something. Talk about Mickey Mantle. I'm holding the baseball card that you gave me.
Right.
And I'm gonna read what it says on the back of his baseball card. Mickey Mantle. And this is let me see what year this is.
I think a 53.
50. Yeah. So I'm just gonna read the back.
Okay.
Mickey is the youngster who inherited the Yankee center field spot from Joe DiMaggio, and the fact that he should hold it for many years to come was born out of averages in 1952, his first full season with the Yankees. His slugging percentage of .530, with the second best in the league, began in baseball in 1949. Played in 96 games for the Yanks in 1951, but finished the season with Kansas City. And that's what it says.
All right. Sounds good. And I have a little bit about Mantle's early years. Mickey Mantle was born October 20th, 1931. In Spathenall, Oklahoma, and he was the son of Lovell Richardson Mantle, who lived from 1904 to 1995, and lead miner Alvin Charles Mantle, who went by the name Mutt. His lifespan was from 1912 to 1952. He was of at least partial English ancestry. His great-grandfather, George Mantle, left Brierley Hill in England's Black County in 1848. And Much, his father, named his son after, in honor of Mickey Cochran, a Hall of Fame catcher. Later in his life, Mantle expressed belief that his father had not known Cochran's true first name, as he would have hated to be named Gordon. And Mantle, his family moved to nearby Commerce, Oklahoma, and Mantle rooted for the St. Louis Cardinals as a child. And Mantle was an all-around athlete at Commerce High School, playing basketball as well as football. He was a halfback. He was offered a practice game. He was offered a practice game during his sophomore year. He injured himself during his sophomore year. And he developed osteomyelitis in his left ankle, a crippling disease that was incurable just a few years earlier. And Mantle also received a possible scholarship to Oklahoma University as well. And Mantle grew up in Commerce, Oklahoma, and of course his professional career. It began in Kansas City with the semi-professional Baxter Springs Whiz Kids in 1948.
Right.
Yankee scout Tom Greenwade came to Baxter Springs to watch Mantle's teammate, third baseman Billy Johnson, during the game, and Mantle hit 3 home runs. Greenwade returned in 1949 after Mantle's high school graduation to sign Mantle to a minor league contract. Mantle signed for $140 per month with a $1,500 signing bonus. So that's pretty interesting there. Mantle was assigned to the Yankees Class D Independence Yankees of the Kansas City, Oklahoma, Missouri League, where he played shortstop. During a slump, Mantle called his father to tell him he wanted to quit baseball. I think you know this story pretty well.
Yeah.
And Mutt drove to Independence, Kansas, and convinced Mantle to keep playing. Mantle hit .313 for the Independence Yankees. Mantle's father came there and gave him a major talking to at that time period. Said, as Mantle recalled that his father said, "I thought I raised a man, but I just raised a coward, and Mantle felt very bad and shamed, and went on to do quite well after that, and eventually came up to the Yankees again in 1951. So that is some of the earlier things about Mantle for sure.
No, absolutely. One thing too, as he played baseball in the minor leagues, he had to work in the mines with his father as well. You know, and that's one of the reasons why he stayed in baseball, because he didn't want to work in the mines.
Exactly. His father said to him, his father was a lead and zinc miner, and his father told him he would bring him back and have him work in the mines, you know, if he was to quit baseball. And Mantle's major league career began in 1951. And Mantle
that's right. And do you know what number he wore in 1951?
Number 6.
That's right, number 6. He later got number 7 the following year, actually.
Exactly. Mantle was invited to the Yankees instructional camp before the 1951 season. After an impressive spring training, Yankees manager Casey Stengel decided to promote Mantle to the majors as a right fielder instead of sending him to the minors. Mickey Mantle's salary for the 1951 season was $7,500, equivalent to about $72,000 in 2018. And Mantle was assigned uniform number 6, as we were saying, signifying the expectation that he would become the next Yankee star following Babe Ruth number 3, Lou Gehrig number 4, Joe DiMaggio number 5, consequently Mantle number 6. Stengel, speaking to Sport magazine, stated, "He's got more natural power from both sides than anybody I ever saw. Bill Dickey called Mantle the greatest prospect he's seen in his time." And that was a deal. After a brief slump, Mantle was sent down to the Yankees' top farm team, the Kansas City Blues. However, he was not able to find the power he once had in the lower minors. Out of frustration, he called his father, and that is the story that we were talking about. His father drove there and basically gave him a major talking to. Right. And Mantle immediately broke out of his slump, going on to hit .361 with 11 homers and 50 runs batted in during his stay in Kansas City. And so that was a very interesting time period.
Absolutely. Yeah, the time period was so different from now because Mantle, Babe Ruth, all the way to Mantle and probably beyond. Those guys used to party at night, all night, and hang out to the club and then play a day game the next day with a hangover. And these guys would hit home runs like nothing. You know?
Oh, yes. Well, Mantle was young and had natural athletic ability and was very powerful. But they certainly did lead a crazy nightlife at that time.
There's a story with that contains Whitey Ford that he wasn't pitching that day, that he was hungover, and Mantle was hungover, and Casey didn't want him to play. But then he ended up having Mickey Mantle pinch hitting, and he tells I can't see the ball, so the manager tells him just hit the one in the middle, and he ends up hitting a home run, by with Casey Stengel's advice, and he hits a 3-run home run against a Cleveland pitcher or something like that. In those days, but that's how it was, man. That's how he played, and not to mention in his first season in 1951, in his rookie year in the World Series, a line drive into right field, which allegedly Joe DiMaggio claims that's supposed to have been his ball, but Mantle gets his spikes caught in a drain and blows out his knee. And he blows out his ACL. At the time, nobody knew it was an ACL, but that's what he blown out was his ACL, and he couldn't play anymore. That ended that year, and he came back the next year with that same ACL, and Casey Stengel said that he only lost a step with that.
Right, exactly. relationship with Joe DiMaggio, who Joe DiMaggio was a veteran at that time by 1951. Joe DiMaggio came up in 1936, and he was a veteran player, and he was really finishing up his final season. And the word is that Joe DiMaggio did not treat Mickey Mantle very well.
He never spoke to him the whole year.
Right, or it took at least half a year before he even spoke to him, and treated Mickey Mantle rather poorly, actually. And Joe DiMaggio was known as being aloof, and I mean very dignified, but not the most outgoing type of man. And he did not really treat Mickey Mantle very well, for sure. And replacing Joe DiMaggio, who retired at the end of the 1951 season, is what he did. Mantle was selected an All-Star for the first time and made the American League team, but did not play in the 5-inning All-Star game that had Boston Red Sox Don DiMaggio at center field. In his first complete World Series, 1952, Mantle was the Yankee hitting star with an on-base percentage about 400 and a slugging percentage about 600. He homered for the third Yankee run in a 3-2 Game 6 win, and he knocked in the winning runs in the 4-2 Game 7 win with a homer in the 6th inning and an RBI single in the 7th inning. Mantle played center field full-time for the Yankees until 1965, when he was moved to left field. His final 2 seasons were spent at first base. You know, he was having all kinds of problems with his knee. Among his many accomplishments are the all-time World Series records for home runs, 18, runs scored 42, and runs batted in 40. He, to this very day, holds the home run record for the most home runs in World Series history at 18.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, he blew his first knee out in 1951, and then he blew out his second knee in 1956. And that same year he blew out his knee, he won the Triple Crown.
Exactly.
And that's an ACL. He had
breakout season.
Yeah, with 2 blown out ACLs, knees.
Right.
And players today can't even walk if they blow an ACL. Today.
I know.
They won't even be back for 2 years because they have to get surgery and rehab and all that. They missed almost 2 seasons. If they can come back.
Mantle describes 56 as his favorite summer. And he batted .353 that year with 52 home runs and 130 runs batted in, and brought home both the Triple Crown and the first of 3 Major League Baseball Most Valuable Player awards. And that was his breakout season in 1956. And I believe that was also the year that he hit the facade for the first time at Yankee Stadium. He's come the closest to hitting the ball out of Yankee Stadium. And he hit the top facade in right field, which was 370 feet away, but very high. And many felt that ball would have traveled about 600 feet or so. Yeah. If it did not hit the facade. And then he did it one more time in the early 60s. So he did that feat twice, actually. And so he was the closest to ever hit the ball out of Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, man. He pretty much did do that. There's a famous picture of him hitting that ball too. And there's also a famous picture of him blowing out his knee at home plate. His second knee. When he's coming out of the box.
Exactly. There's also a famous photograph that shows Mantle standing up, and they point to all of the injuries that he had. The shoulder and all of the massive injuries that he
has a suit and tie on with a crutch, right? With crutches, right?
Right, exactly. And Mantle won the second consecutive MVP in 1957. Behind league leads in runs and walks, a career-high .365 batting average, second to Ted Williams that year, who hit .388. And hitting into a league-low 5 double plays, Mantle was very fast. Mantle reached base more times than he made outs, 319 to 312, one of 2 seasons in which he achieved the feat. The 1959 season was the first of 4 consecutive seasons 2 All-Star games were played, and Mantle played in 7 of these games. Mantle made the American League All-Star team as a reserve player in 1951 and was used as a pinch runner, for Baltimore Orioles catcher Gus Trandos, and replacement right fielder for Cleveland Indians Rocky Colavito in the first game with Detroit Tigers Al Kaline. Al Kaline is a famous player playing the center field position. So that is a little bit more on Mantle. And also, in January of 1961, Mantle became the highest paid player in baseball by signing a $75,000 contract, which is equivalent to about $629,000 in today's money. And
yeah, he did do a lot of investments. Did you know he owned the land in Orlando? Him, Whitey Ford, and Yogi Berra, they had owned land in Orlando, and that's the land where Disney World sits now. They own that land.
Yes, that's very, very interesting for sure. And of course, the 1961 season was known for the M&M boys when Mantle and Roger Maris chased Babe Ruth's single-season home run record. 5 years earlier in 1956, Mantle had challenged Ruth's record for the most of the season, and the New York press had been protective of Ruth on that occasion also. They were very protective of the Ruth record of 61 home runs. And that's why Roger Maris was under so much pressure, and his hair was actually falling out from stress in the 61 season when Mantle was chasing, when both Mantle and Maris were chasing the home run record. Maris was under tremendous stress that year.
Yeah, he was, man, and at one point, he also he had that hip injury too, I think, right? That he got that injection in the hip, and then it became infected and everything, and then he was bleeding through the jersey, his pants.
Yes, he had an abscess. What happened was he got sick, and thought he had a flu or something like that, and he got a shot from a questionable doctor, actually. He went to a guy very quickly, and the doctor was not the greatest, and he got the shot in his hip, and it abscessed and turned into a very nasty, horrible wound. And Mantle missed a portion of the 61 World Series because of that. He played in a few games, but he missed a portion of it because of that terrible hip abscess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he couldn't even get out of the car. I read in his book that it took him 3 hours to get out of his car.
Exactly.
That's crazy, man. He couldn't even move, and the trainers had to wrap him up like a mummy and all kind of stuff just for him to play.
Exactly. And in Mantle's final seasons, the Yankees and Mantle were slowed down by injuries during the 1965 season, and they finished in 6th place, 25 games behind the Minnesota Twins. He hit only .255 with 19 home runs and 46 runs batted in. Mantle was selected an All-Star again as a reserve player, but did not make the 28-player squad for the second and last time due to an injury, and was replaced by Tony Olivo. And Mantle also hit the first home run at the Astrodome during an inaugural game between the Yankees and the Astros, a preseason game, and Mantle was the first one to hit a home run at the Astrodome at that time.
Yeah, absolutely, and also just for some history facts, because he played in the old Yankee Stadium, and he had played the most games in the original Yankee Stadium at 1,213 games, and also he's hit the most career home runs in the original Yankee Stadium. 266 home runs.
Wow, very good facts. That is fantastic.
So he did a lot of work, man. He was he's third on the list with 744 RBIs. One is Lou Gehrig and 2 is Babe Ruth.
Wow, amazing. And in 1966, his batting average increased to 288 with 23 homers. Even by 1966, he still hit through 23 homers and had 56 runs batted in. After the 1966 season, he was moved to first base, with Joe Pepitone taking over his place in the outfield. And on May 14th, 1967, Mantle became the sixth member of the 500 home run club.
That's
and
right.
you can see those old film clips of Mantle hitting his 500th home run at Yankee Stadium that day. You know, WPIX 10:11 with Mantle hitting the 500th home run, and you can see that on YouTube for sure. And really, what happened really was Mantle hit 237 with 18 homers and 54 runs batted in during his final season in 1968. And he was selected to an All-Star and pinch hit at the All-Star game on July 11th. Mantle was selected an All-Star every season during his 18-year career except 1951 and 66, and did not play in the 1952 and 63 and 65 seasons All-Stars. But that Mantle had a great career for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna read you what he has on his plaque.
Okay.
And this is dedicated by the New York Yankees in August 25th, 1996. Okay, and it says Mickey Mantle, a great teammate from 1931 to 1995. It says 536 home runs, winner of a Triple Crown 1956, most World Series homers of 18, selected to the All-Star game 20 times, won MVP award 1956, 57, and 62, elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1974, and quoted by Mel Allen, a magnificent Yankee who left a legacy of equal courage. And that's what it says on his plaque right now to this current day in Yankee Stadium.
Yes, and that's always lovely to go into Monument Park and always get photographs and everything. You did a great, a couple of times you did some great vlogs from Monument Park and showed the Mantle Monument up close. And Mantle always said that he felt badly about his final season when he only hit 237 because that brought his career batting average below 300. He ended up hitting 298 for his career, and he always said that he was a 300 hitter, but at the end of his career, slowed down by so many injuries and everything, his lifetime batting average fell to 298. And he had 2,415 career hits, 536 career home runs, and 1,509 runs batted in for his career. So he definitely is a classic Yankee, and many consider him the greatest switch hitter that ever played. And a couple of things about the personal life of Mantle is that he was a heavy-duty drinker and had a lot of substance abuse problems with drinking. And he did have, he was not always the greatest man as far as his personal life was concerned. And we know that he did not spend a lot of time with his kids when they were growing up. And he was also a womanizer. He did a lot of cheating on Merlin as well, his wife Merlin, and was a bit of a womanizer and a heavy drinker. And as he got older, after he retired, his alcoholism got worse. And he got down and hit a bottom and got very bad with alcoholism. And as you know,
and you know something, they had this big press conference that he was an alcoholic and don't be like him and whatever. And actually, he never died of alcoholism. His liver was okay. He actually died from a disease that you get from the mines, from the coal mines.
Yes, you told me that.
And that infected, infected his liver. It wasn't the alcohol. It was a mineral or something like that from the mine, from the coal mines. That actually, it was in his lungs, I think it was, and some of his liver too. And that's what actually killed him. It wasn't the liver.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that when he got the liver transplant because many people thought that he got bumped up on the waiting list because he was Mickey Mantle. but there were nurses that said that no, his name just popped up, that he was an ideal candidate for the liver that was available at that time. So there was a lot of controversy about that. And then shortly after he got the liver transplant, they discovered that cancer had spread in his body, and he died at a relatively young age of 63 in 1995.
Yeah, I went to the walkathon for Mickey Mantle that year. He came out with the Mickey Mantle book and everything. I read that book and everything, and at that time we was waiting for the start of the walkathon, and Whitey Ford pulls up in a white limousine, and I tell my dad go get an autograph, and he says no, you go get it, and I run up to him, and I already had autographs on my ball already because we went to a fan fest, and he looks at the ball, and he looks at an open spot to sign, and just before he signs, he looks at the ball and he goes, "You got Cliff Johnson?" And he shakes his head like, "Oh my God!" Like, here you go, kid. See ya.
Yeah.
Like Cliff Johnson, like he sucks.
I like Cliff Johnson. He was okay. And,
no, but I think he felt that way. I'm saying like that's the way he looked at it. Like, you got Cliff. He actually said it. You got Cliff Johnson? Like, disgusting. Like, oh my God, here you go, kid. And he gave me his autograph, and I walked off.
I got a batting practice home run off of Cliff Johnson when I was 14 years old back in 1978. And that was interesting for sure. And we'll do more of these player profiles. We'll do one on Cliff Johnson as well. But Mantle was quite a character for sure, and a great Yankees legend. But
yeah, he was for sure the captain at that time, man. And he was a hell of a guy too. He was no joke, man. He was gonna hit a home run no matter through hell or high water. He was gonna do it.
Exactly.
And then he'll tell you he don't know how he did it.
Exactly.
You know, that, man, I don't know if we're gonna ever see players like that ever again in our lifetime. I think we do now with Stanton and Judd, but I don't know of that caliber though.
Oh, well, he was just a natural talent. He was a natural talent. And,
I think we came close with Alex Rodriguez though.
Yes, I would say so.
You know?
And otherwise, that is our cover of Mickey Mantle, and we'll do another player profile very soon. We'll do Babe Ruth next. Yeah,
man, Mickey Mantle was a hell of a player, man, and man, I don't even think you can find you know, his arch nemesis was Herman Killebrew.
Yeah, Herman Killebrew was a rival.
That's the only person that can come close to Mickey Mantle, I think.
Also, Al Kaline as well. Al Kaline of the Detroit Tigers was also.
And do you know who Mickey Mantle's favorite player was?
Who?
It was Willie Mays.
Oh yeah.
And he actually, and he actually felt that Willie Mays was better than him. He always thought that.
Well, I tend to think Mays was a better all-around player, actually, and also Mantle. You know, Mantle had great statistics and a great career, but could have been up to Mays' level if he wasn't such a carouser. And you know,
Willie Mays, he came later on in Mickey Mantle's career, though, right? He was a little older already when Willie Mays came, right?
Yeah, Mays. I think Mays' rookie year was 54. We'll do Mays as well, but Mays was a great all-around player, and I think overall had a better career than Mantle. Mantle had a lot of injuries, and Mantle did a lot of drinking, and Mantle would be the first to tell you he wasn't a perfect man. And later on in life, he did a lot of drinking with his sons. That he had 4 sons, and that's how they got together with one another.
Yeah, they showed them on fishing trips and all that, drinking and all that stuff.
Right, and they did a lot of that. And his wife Merlin said that she was living with 5 alcoholics at that point. You know, so that is how it was there. But, oh my goodness, my phone has just beeped, which means that my battery has to go on charge. I think we've done a half hour, haven't we?
Absolutely, man. No, it's been a great podcast, man, about Mickey Mantle, man. And and people are lucky to actually have seen him play. You know, you've seen him play. I actually got to. I've seen him in person. I never got to meet him, but I've seen him in person.
I didn't actually see him play. I was too young. What happened was my grandfather took me to my first Yankee game when I was a little child, going into kindergarten.
My dad was at the 500 home run on Mother's Day.
Wow,
in
that's amazing.
I think it was 1967. I think it was something like that.
1967, yeah.
Yeah, Mother's Day he was there, and he used to always talk about that too, man. And I can't believe we won the World Series behind that. So he's lucky.
Yeah.
It was like a blessing in disguise that he helped us maybe that year.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Fortunately, we are going to have to cut it. My phone
That's
just
it.
beeped again.
All right, folks. So this is the First Inning Podcast, and I want everybody to subscribe. Please give a like. It lets us know that you care, and we'll see everybody on the next one. So long, everybody.